probably what is going to be a very important point that you are bringing us today is that all those things that we are discussing here, Olivier brought, Sander just brought, might be related to what you're going to tackle, which is how to work in the aftermath of an event of soil contamination. So depending on how people do this, we will have more or less problems, we will have more or less trust among stakeholders and conflicts. So the floor is yours. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you. My name is Marco Falconi. I work for ISPRA, that's the Italian Environmental Protection Agency, and I'm one of the people responsible for controlling the remediation projects in the 42 most polluted areas in Italy that are called sites of the national priority list. Going to the topic of this session, the environmental disasters, in Italy we have a definition of environmental disaster that is the irreversible alteration of the equilibrium of an ecosystem or the alteration of a balance of an ecosystem that is particularly onerous and achievable with exceptional measures, or an offense to public safety by reason of the relevance of the fact that the extent is very, very high. You know, the definition is just a first step. This does not prevent environmental disasters, and sometimes the environmental disasters imply more countries. I make some examples, like my knowledge that we have in Italy and Europe. We have an example of transboundary pollution of Lake Maggiore, that is a wonderful lake in Italy, where a fertilizer chemical production released PAH, DDT, and mercury. And as the facility is in an alpine river, you know that gravel arrives till 100 meters below ground surface. So it is 100 meters of soil contaminated by those chemicals, and the contamination arrived to the river, to the Lake Maggiore, and also to the Switzerland, because Lake Maggiore has a side of the Lake Maggiore is on Switzerland, up gradient. And that's a first case that I want to tell. A second one, it is ever in Italy, it's Acna di Cengio. It is a facility that was there from 1882, I mean 140 years ago, to 1999, that was used for explosives, fertilizers. And we found there in that site all the periodic elements of Mendeleev, hundreds of compounds and intermediate, just 250 compounds we monitored there. And there was a difficulty in management because there were two regions involved. And as Olivier told, not ever the priorities are the same. Also, if in the public sector, no, different regions could have different opinions on the environment, the industrial perspective or the environmental perspective, and those happened in this Acna di Cengio. And imagine that it happened. For instance, they used to discharge into the river these sodic salts, and they do it when the river was high. No. It happens that they release the sodic salts in the moment that the river was in the summer, and it was very low. And it happened that for 100 kilometers, they killed all the fishes and even the mosquitoes, And they have the courage to say, "Oh, we disinfected all the river." No, imagine the period, the historical period when it happened. It is unbelievable. Another case that is very recent, because it was condemned 44 people with 280 years of prison globally. It is Ilva in Taranto. Maybe you know from the newspapers at least who is in Europe, that Ilva is a biggest steel production park with 15 square kilometers in the South Italy, in the Taranto region, when it's the major polluter of air in Europe, with 1.2 tons of benzene every year. I don't make the numbers of this facility, but the more important is that that facility had an impact on brackish water, the so-called Mar Piccolo in Taranto, on health, because a lot of illnesses in the population, and also in the food chain, with a number of cows that were killed because full of dioxins, not only the milk but also the meat. And that's the incredible situation. We have also other environmental disasters, like we have in Veneto region a PFAS plume of more than 50 kilometers, with health problems for the population, with endocrine disrupting PFAS are endocrine disrupting chemicals, are cancerogenic. We have birth defects according to PFAS, but PFAS is very debated in the world right now. It will be the class of contaminants of the next decade, probably next 2 decades. And so it's very, very important to address those environmental disasters. Just to escape from Italy, I worked also in a plant in Serbian Republic, it was Viscosa, in the city of Loznica, where we found a carbon disulfide that were stored there with just a small layer of water. I stayed just in front of those reservoirs of carbon disulfide. I can stay just for 10 seconds, because otherwise you had something in the nose that you have to escape, full of asbestos. And so the environmental disasters happens not only in the third world countries, but also in more developed countries. So, coming to the solutions, and I try to save some time. We have an emergency response, of course, when we have a recent contamination. You have absorbers, you can evacuate people, you remove the source. As you know, many environmental disasters are also into the sea. See what happened just in the coastline of Sri Lanka just 2 days ago. No, so this is an emergency response. Then we have a long-term response to the environmental disaster that are most cases that we have. I agree, first of all, with Olivier and Sander for what they told. You have to try to find an integrated solution for those environmental disasters. You have to find a new destination for those sites, maybe industrial or whatever, but you have to find a new destination. Then a provocative thing, fiscal incentives. Why not? We have, for instance, in Italy, fiscal incentives for new freezers. But why we cannot give incentives to the companies that are not the polluter of that area, that want to invest in that area? This is incredible, according to me. I have 50% back money for a new freezer, and I cannot have anything back if I want to invest in a contaminated area where I'm not the polluter. That's incredible, according to me, that we should do something. And another 2 things that I want to highlight, and I then give you back, Maria, the floor to you. It is that we should keep our markets open to new technologies. We shouldn't be protective. No, if we were a new technology that is disruptive, I mean, for instance, high resolution site characterization that you, Sander, in Brazil, I know that there are many companies that are applying this kind of new characterization. I think that is fantastic for understanding the problem. And then very last thing, sustainable solution. Olivier already told the commitment of Nicole Latin America and all the there are SURFs, Sustainable Remediation Forums, throughout the globe that want to find sustainable solutions, spend well their money, not do nothing, spend well the money. That should be the way we can solve the problems of environmental disasters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco. Very good points.